Hey guys, Jim here with another video for you. Excuse me. This is Ranking the Filmography, Steven Spielberg. But before I begin, if you would be so kind at the end of this video, if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, and drop comments. Let me know how you feel about Spielberg's filmography, what your favorite movies are, which movies you agree with, which ones you don't agree with as far as my rankings go. Now, Steven Spielberg is one of those incredible directors from my childhood that just totally changed movie-going for me. Between Jaws, Close Encounters, E.T., Raiders. I mean, he was one of those filmmakers like Carpenter and De Palma that just really struck a chord with me as a child and all through my adulthood. Now, the man has like 30-odd movies to his credit. I do not own all those movies, of course. I am only including the movies that I have on Blu-ray. So a lot of his most famous titles you will not see on this list, such as Schindler's List, Catch Me If You Can, just to name a few. I do own those movies, but I own them on DVD, and I'm only including the Blu-rays in this countdown. But I do have 16 titles. So we're going to go from 16 to 1. The look of this video is going to be a little different because anybody who's been watching my movie collections, they know that I have 4 Indiana Jones movies in this collection, and I have 8 Steven Spielberg movies in this collection. So you're going to be seeing a lot of discs, but I will also highlight the page from these box sets to give you a clearer picture of these movies. So without further ado, we're going to start right away. We're going to start off with 16 and work our way down to number 1. So starting at 16, to nobody's surprise, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This was the 4th Indiana Jones movie, of course. It did bring back Karen Allen, which was a nice surprise. But I can't stand this movie. I've said on more than one video, this movie's an abomination to me. It's not poorly made. Steven Spielberg could not make a poorly made movie if he had a gun to his head. But this movie's horrible. I hate it. That's number 16, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Number 15, Always. From 1989, starring Holly Hunter, Richard Dreyfuss, John Goodman, and in her last screen appearance, the immortal Audrey Hepburn. Again, well-made movie. Spielberg cannot make a bad movie. But this is basically a love story. It is a remake. I've never seen the original version of A Guy Called Joe, or A Guy Named Joe, one of the two. But again, not my favorite movie, but it is an extremely well-made movie. So, number 15 is Always. Number 14, The Sugarland Express. Again, sorry about this. It's kind of hard to show these. 1974, this was his feature film debut. Theatrical feature film, that is, because Duel was his original debut, but that was a TV movie, and it was such a hit that they did release it theatrically. But this is a drama featuring Goldie Hawn and William Atherton and Ben Johnson. And again, it's a really well-made movie, good, well acted. It's not my favorite. So, number 14 is The Sugarland Express. Number 13, Ready Player One. A lot of people don't like this movie. I like it. I think it's fun. I never read the books, and maybe that's why I like it. But again, definitely not one of Spielberg's best movies, but it's certainly not bad. Next, Jurassic Park, The Lost World. It's from 1997. Jeff Goldblum came back for this. Julianne Moore is also in this. Again, I like this movie. I don't love it. There's things about it I really enjoy. The scene where they're in the bus hanging on the glass as it's breaking is an all-timer. That's a great sequence. But the rest of the movie is kind of lacking. So that's The Lost World. Next. Duel. As I said earlier, this was a TV movie originally from 1971, starring Dennis Weaver. This is like Spielberg's prototype before Jaws, believe it or not. And instead of a shark, it's a truck. This is a great movie. It really is. For a TV movie from the early 70s, it still holds up. And I can understand why it did play theatrically, because again, this movie, there's no fat on it. It's intense. Dennis Weaver basically gives a one-man performance, and he's great. Duel's an excellent movie. Next, 1941. This is from 1979, starring John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Ned Beatty, Christopher Lee, Slim Pickens, Nancy Allen, Treat Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. This was a huge flop. This was, at the time, the most expensive comedy. Basically, after Close Encounters and Jaws, he was given carte blanche, and this was a dream project of his, and I love it, but this movie was not well received. As I said, it was a huge flop, but through the years it has gained somewhat of a cult reputation. However, Spielberg has gone on record saying that this is the one movie of his that he kind of is embarrassed by. He doesn't really care for it, but I do. 1941. Next, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The second Indiana Jones adventure, co-starring Kate Capshaw, and I can never pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Kikwi Short Round. He just won an Oscar last year. He's a great actor. I'm sorry. I can never pronounce his name, but Temple of Doom's a great movie. It's much darker than the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's a great movie. Next, Minority Report. Starring Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell, and the great Max von Sydow. I love this movie. Absolutely love Minority Report. Next, Jurassic Park, the original. Sorry, guys. From 1993. I just covered this in one of my 50 years in film recently. Jurassic Park was a juggernaut, and it continues to this day. We're on, what, 6 movies and counting, I think? Personally, I gave up after 4. But the first Jurassic Park is an awesome movie. Speaking of awesome movies, next, E.T. From 1982. E.T. was the biggest box office winner, or biggest box office success in history up until Titanic took its title. E.T. was truly a phenomenon. It's a wonderful movie. Okay, we're getting there. Next, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. from 1977. This came out the same year as Star Wars. And as I said, in the 50 years of film of 1977, I saw both of them theatrically. And both of them stoked my imagination for what could be. I love Close Encounters. Always will. Next, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The third installment of the Indiana Jones saga, co-starring Sean Connery, River Phoenix, and Denholm Elliott. I've said on previous videos, Raiders of the Lost Ark to me is the best of the trilogy, but this installment is definitely the most entertaining. This movie is so much fun, and Sean Connery and Harrison Ford play off each other wonderfully. Yeah, if you're looking for just a good time, Last Crusade is definitely the way to go. Okay, that was number 3. All right. No, I'm sorry, that was number 4. Number 3, Saving Private Ryan. Starring Tom Hanks and Matt Damon, among others. Saving Private Ryan is a masterpiece. I actually sat there at the theater at the end of the movies through the credits and could not move for 5 minutes until after the movie was completed. I was an emotional wreck. And I wasn't the only one. I was seeing grown men, obviously veterans, weeping while watching this movie. It is so effective. It is so wonderful. Quite honestly, it's a masterpiece. That's why Saving Private Ryan is number 3. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original. Co-starring Karen Allen. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I've said it before, it's a perfect action film. It's wonderful. It's iconic. And it's the best of all of the Indiana Jones movies. But it's number 2 on this list, because you all know what number 1 is. Number 1's Jaws. Jaws was the original blockbuster from 1975. It was dumped in the summer because that was the dumping ground for movies. Back then, people didn't go to the movies during the summer. They were on vacations, except for the drive-ins. And that's why most of the movies that came out during the summers were exploitation movies and horror movies. Jaws changed the game forever. It invented the summer blockbuster. Not only invented it, perfected it. There's been many since, but Jaws is still the undisputed champion. And that's why it's number 1 on my list. So to recap the list, number 1 is Jaws. Number 2 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 3 is Saving Private Ryan. Number 4 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Number 5 is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Number 6 is E.T. Number 7 is Jurassic Park. Number 8 is Minority Report. Number 9 is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 10 is 1941. Number 11 is Duel. Number 12 is Jurassic Park, The Lost World. 13, Ready Player One. 14 is the Sugarland Express. 15 is Always. And bringing up the rear, 16, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it didn't look so pretty. Sorry about the jerky cam. I really didn't know how else to do it. So I am going to be getting more Spielberg movies in my collection on Blu-ray, of course. I do, like I said, I have a lot on DVD. And when I do get more, if I get closer to the actual full filmography, I will redo this video. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, and most of all, leave those comments. I really look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.